who will be presenting designing looms as kits for collaborated assembly.
Hi everyone, I'm Samantha Speer, and today I'm going to be presenting Designing Weaving Machines for Collaborative Assembly. So I think everyone in this room agrees that collaboration is a very important skill that most of us are using in our daily lives. Collaboration, it's an important skill for students to learn as it aids in their future engineering careers in academia or in industry. And collaboration skills are best acquired through carefully designed collaborative experiences. Prior work in the fields of computer-supported collaborative learning and computer-supported cooperative work have highlighted that technology has a very important role in supporting collaboration. And it's enumerated many design principles for software systems to support collaboration, but there remains a gap in research on how hardware systems can be designed to support collaboration. So towards filling this gap, we ask the question, how can collaborative behaviors be influenced by hardware design? But before we can understand how hardware influences collaboration, we must first define what collaboration is. This in itself is a very hard problem with a very rich body of work behind it, but for the purposes of our paper, we developed a coding scheme that breaks collaboration down into smaller behaviors that can be separately analyzed. So our coding scheme is based on the 3Cs framework by Fuchs and Ellis, and it breaks collaboration down into coordination, cooperation, and communication. We further break coordination down into the coordination of people, so that's who's going to do what task, the coordination of materials, who has what object, and the coordination of specific tasks, how the participants are going to actually achieve a collaboration. We further break cooperation down into cooperating on different steps of a task, cooperating on the same step of a task but with different hardware in their hands, and then cooperating on the same step with the same hardware in their hands. And finally, we break communication down into helping behaviors and communicating behaviors. So with helping, we have knowledge co-creation, where two people are building knowledge together, and helping knowledge transfer, where one person is just telling someone something that they already know. And then we have communicating about troubleshooting when there's errors in the assembly task, and communicating over confusion about the instructions of their assembly. So in order to study the effect of hardware on these collaborative behaviors, we ran a user study with 8 participants. 7 were graduate students in informatics, and 1 was an undergraduate in computer science. 6 of the participants were women, and 2 were men, and then we divided them into 2 different groups of 4 participants each. We then had each group build one of 2 looms chosen for their hardware design. So the Ashford Loom is designed for a single end user, and RoboLoom is designed to be assembled by students used in groups. So we then video recorded participants and coded for collaborative behaviors using our coding scheme, and then we thematically analyzed the results. And from our analysis, we found that there were 5 hardware design principles that created opportunities for collaboration. And they are repetitiveness, specificity, difficulty, parallelizability, and physicality. So I'm going to go through each of those individually. So first we have repetitiveness, which we define as repeated hardware elements in an assembly, such as having many different motors, different corners in a loom frame, or different threads of the loom. And here you can see that the participants are assembling a motor assembly of RoboLoom, and there are 40 of those, so they have to do that 40 different times for their assembly. So from our analysis, we coded each of the videos that we had of the participants assembling the looms in 5-minute time segments, and we reported each code as a percentage of time spent on that code during the assembly. So the graph shows the different percentages of each code across looms and across groups. So we found many suggested effects of repetitive hardware on collaboration, the most notable of which were the coordination of specific tasks and an effect on helping with knowledge co-creation. So in the instance that there was a repetitive hardware element, participants would coordinate how they were going to break that down, and then they would help each other figure out the task with knowledge co-creation. See if I can get rid of that. Next, we have specificity. So we define specificity as how predetermined the hardware elements are for their intended purpose. Here you can see that the participants are assembling a corner bracket for RoboLoom without the corner bracket actually indicating what orientation they need to put the aluminum extrusion in, so they're trying to figure out how to do that. So again, we found many suggested effects of specific hardware on collaboration, the most notable of which, again, were the coordination of specific tasks and helping knowledge co-creation. So where participants would not know how to complete a task due to the lack of indicator features on the hardware, as a result, they would try and coordinate together and figure out together how they would complete that task. Next, we have difficulty. So we define difficulty as how much mental or physical effort is required to work with the hardware in their hands. So here you can see a participant struggling to align a corner bracket in the slot of a piece of aluminum extrusion. So we would label that as a physically difficult task. And again, there were many effects on this, but I'll just highlight the one here that we have as coordination of people and an effect on the cooperation, same step, same hardware. So when tasks were too difficult for one participant to complete, they would ask for help from their group mates, requiring the coordination of people, and then they would end up working together on the same piece of hardware trying to get that completed. So that led to more cooperation on the same step with the same hardware. Next, we have parallelizability, which we define as the ability to split hardware assembly tasks due to the lack of building dependencies. And here you can see in the image that we have participants parallelizing work on RoboLoom by working on different portions of the frame, and then in the background, one participant just working on building motor assemblies. So again, there was many different effects on this. The one that I'll highlight here is that there was a large effect on the cooperation of different steps. So when tasks could be parallelized, participants did split the work, and each had a hands-on task to complete. So they were working on two different things at the same time. And then for our final design principle, we have physicality. So we define that as the size of the hardware, how many non-fixed parts the hardware has while it's being assembled, and how many components interact with each other during the assembly task. And here you can see participants working to manipulate 40 different motors as they try and assemble the RoboLoom. So again, there's many different effects on collaborative behavior, but I'll focus now on the increase of coordination of specific tasks. So when participants needed to manipulate many different objects at once, they would talk to each other and they would coordinate how they were going to do so in order to get the job done. So earlier we asked this question, how can collaborative behaviors be influenced by hardware design? And through our user study and our analysis, we found that these 5 design principles can create opportunities for collaboration. So we hope that these design principles can inform how we design hardware for collaborative use. And our future work is focusing on understanding the causal relationship between these design features and collaborative behaviors to better shape positive collaborative experiences when working with hardware. And next, I would just like to thank my collaborators on this collaborative work and also our funders. And I'm happy to take questions.
Yes. Thank you. Hi, my name is Ashley from UCSB. Thank you for the presentation. I was wondering if you can walk us through why choosing to build a loom. Because like if you build a 3D printer, you know, like there's similar challenges of like assembling something, following instructions, and kind of getting lost. Most of the time you get help because it's a lot of building. And I was also curious if they use the loom and kind of build and weave something together.
Yes, yeah, so this work is built on a project that looked at making the RoboLoom a loom for collaborative building and use in classrooms. And so that's part of why we decided to do it. Looms are usually designed as very large systems, so it gave us the opportunity to look at multiple different like assembly tasks that they were doing over the course of a pretty long time, so it takes them a couple of hours to build. So that's one of the reasons. And then we were able to compare this loom that was designed for collaborative building, so having multiple people in the room, and then this loom that was designed for just one person to put it together. That's more akin to like IKEA furniture, and the RoboLoom being more akin to something like a 3D printer or something like that. So that's why we chose looms. It just gave us a lot of different design principles. So it was different designs, but for the same like end system, weaving. So we just wanted to be able to compare the two different designs. Any other questions?
So I kind of wonder if there's any customization in the collaboration process in this project.
Customization how?
Like you have multiple components, and then can you decide on the steps of assembly, and can you decide change any of the parts in between?
Yeah, absolutely. So with RoboLoom, there's a lot of customization. So we created all of the different assembly instructions for that, and we essentially just gave them a guide on how those things would go together, and we allowed them to pretty much coordinate the entire thing themselves. With the Ashford Loom, we gave them the standardized instructions. We didn't tell them that they necessarily had to follow those, so we just allowed the groups to come up with their own method of collaborating and building the final loom.
So Samantha is also on the faculty job market this year, so if any of you know any opportunities, please feel free to reach out. But with that, let's thank the speaker. And next, we'll have a video presentation